The first rays of morning sunlight crept through the master bedroom's floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the California king bed. Johnny Martinez lay awake, staring at the vaulted ceiling he'd never wanted but Amber had insisted upon during their last renovation. The Egyptian cotton sheets felt cold against his skin, matching the growing distance between him and his sleeping wife. Her soft breathing beside him held none of the comfort it once had. Even in sleep, Amber maintained an air of calculated perfection. Her blonde hair carefully arranged on the silk pillowcase, her face mask ensuring her skin remained wrinkle-free, her body positioned just so. The space between them might as well have been an ocean. Their bedroom, like everything else in their life, reflected Amber's expensive tastes. The custom furniture, the designer wallpaper, the artwork that cost more than his first car, all carefully curated to project an image of success and sophistication. 20 years of marriage reduced to a showcase of material achievements. The alarm's gentle chime broke the morning silence. Amber stirred immediately, reaching for her phone with perfectly manicured fingers. Her lips curved into a smile at whatever she saw on the screen, the expression never reaching her eyes. "Good morning," Johnny said, his voice rough from sleep. Amber didn't look up from her phone. After a moment, she let out a laugh, that practiced, theatrical sound that had become more frequent lately. "Oh my God, Ryan's already at the gym. Look at this workout video," he posted. The name sent a familiar surge of unease through Johnny's chest. Ryan, the personal trainer who'd somehow become a constant topic of conversation in their house over the past few months. He pushed himself up, heading for the shower without another word. Under the hot water, Johnny tried to pinpoint exactly when things had started to change. The signs had been there for years, he realized now. Like the time 5 years ago when Amber had demanded they upgrade to a bigger house, despite having more space than they needed. "The Richardsons just bought that new place in Highland Park," she'd said, her voice taking on that wheedling tone he'd come to dread. "We can't let them think we're falling behind." He'd given in, as he always did. The new mortgage had meant longer hours at the office, but Amber had gotten her showcase home. She'd redecorated 3 times since then, each time more expensive than the last. Or the incident last summer, when Mary had come home from her first year of college transformed. Their once sweet daughter had returned with designer clothes, a sharp tongue, and an uncanny ability to mirror her mother's worst qualities. "God, Dad, do you have to wear those boring suits all the time?" she'd asked over breakfast one morning. "Mom's friends probably think she's married to an accountant or something." Amber had laughed that same practice sound. "He does dress like he's given up, doesn't he?" Johnny emerged from the bathroom to find Amber still in bed, now FaceTiming with their daughter. Mary's voice filled the room, sharp and entitled as always. "Mom, you look amazing. That facial you got yesterday totally worked. Unlike Dad's ancient skincare routine, I mean, does he still use that drugstore garbage?" Johnny opened his closet, selecting a charcoal gray suit. The comments bounced off him like rain on windows, but each one left a mark, invisible but lasting. "Speaking of ancient," Amber chimed in, "Honey, you really need to upgrade your wardrobe. Those suits are so last decade." "Yeah," Mary agreed through the phone. "God, Dad, you dress like you've given up. Mom deserves arm candy, not whatever this is." The words triggered a memory from 2 weeks ago, when he'd overheard Amber on the phone with her friend Sandra. "Ryan says I could easily pass for 35, she'd been saying, her voice preening. "He thinks it's amazing how I take care of myself. Not like some people who just let themselves go after marriage." That night, he'd found her browsing fitness websites, specifically pages featuring young, muscular trainers. When he'd asked about it, she dismissed his concerns with a wave of her hand. "Don't be so insecure, honey. I'm just looking for some motivation to stay in shape. You should be happy I care about my appearance." Back in the present, Johnny knotted his tie with practiced movements, catching glimpses of his reflection in the bedroom mirror. At 45, he kept himself fit, his dark hair showing only hints of gray at the temples. The lines around his eyes had deepened lately, but they were earned from years of late nights at the office, building the life Amber had always demanded. "I have a meeting with the board this morning," he said, adjusting his cuffs. "Don't wait for me for dinner." "As if we would." Mary's voice dripped with disdain. Mom has her training session with Ryan tonight anyway. Right, Mom? Something in their matching giggles made Johnny's hands still. He watched in the mirror as Amber preened, running her fingers through her expensive highlights. Ryan's been so amazing, Amber said, her voice taking on that breathy quality she used when she wanted something. He really understands what women need, you know? Not just physically, but emotionally. Unlike some people, Mary added pointedly. The comment stung more than Johnny wanted to admit. Last week, he tried to plan a surprise weekend getaway for their upcoming anniversary. When he'd mentioned it to Mary, hoping for her help, she'd laughed in his face. A weekend at some boring resort? God, Dad, you really don't get it, do you? Mom needs excitement, passion, not your idea of romance. He canceled the reservations that afternoon. Johnny grabbed his briefcase and headed downstairs, their laughter following him like a shadow. In the kitchen, he found evidence of Amber's latest health kick, organic smoothie ingredients, scattered across the marble countertops she'd insisted on during their last renovation. The renovation that had cost more than his first year's salary. The side of the kitchen brought back another memory, this one from just days ago. He'd come home early, hoping to surprise Amber with dinner, only to find her and Mary huddled over Mary's phone, giggling like teenagers. Look at his abs, Mary had been saying. Ryan's definitely the hottest trainer at that gym. I know, Amber had replied, her voice dreamy. And he's so attentive during our sessions, always making sure my form is perfect. They'd stopped talking the moment they noticed him, but the damage was done. The way they'd looked at each other, sharing some private joke at his expense, had made his stomach turn. He was pouring coffee into his travel mug when Amber finally descended, wrapped in her designer robe. She moved through the kitchen with practiced grace, gathering ingredients for her morning smoothie. We need to talk, she said, not looking at him as she measured protein powder. About us. About our marriage. The way she said it casual, almost rehearsed, made his stomach tighten. What about our marriage? Well, she turned on the blender, the noise filling the kitchen for a moment before she continued. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About what I need. What we both need, really. The front door opened, and Mary breezed in, still in her workout clothes from her morning Pilates class. Morning. Oh, good, Mom. Are you finally having the talk with him? Johnny looked between them, noting their synchronized expressions of innocence. What talk? About opening up your marriage, Mary said, helping herself to her mother's smoothie. God, Dad, don't look so shocked. It's totally normal nowadays. Right, Mom? The words hit him like a physical blow, but part of him had been expecting this. The signs had been there. The late-night gym sessions, the constant mentions of Ryan, the way Amber had been dressing more provocatively for her workouts. Last month, he'd found a receipt for lingerie he'd never seen, but he'd convinced himself it was nothing. Just like he'd ignored the way Amber's phone would quickly turn face down whenever he entered a room, or how she'd started password protecting everything. Amber moved closer to Johnny, placing a hand on his arm. Her red nails stood out against his white shirt like drops of blood. Ryan was telling me about how many couples do it. It's really quite common in certain circles. Certain circles, Johnny repeated, his voice flat. And Ryan knows all about this. Does he? The question reminded him of a conversation he'd overheard between Amber and Mary last week, when they thought he was still at work. Ryan says his last client's husband was totally cool with it, Mary had been saying. Like he actually thanked Ryan for helping their marriage. I know, Amber had replied. He's so mature about these things. Not like, well, you know. Now, standing in their kitchen, Johnny could see the same conversation playing out in their expressions. The shared looks, the silent communication between mother and daughter. Don't be like that, Amber pouted, an expression she'd perfected over years of getting her way. Ryan just understands that sometimes people need more, need excitement, adventure. Yeah, Dad. Mary perched on one of the kitchen stools, her eyes gleaming with the same manipulative light as her mother's. Mom's still young, still hot. She deserves to explore her options. Options. Johnny set his coffee down carefully. You mean sleeping with other men? Amber's hand tightened on his arm. Don't be crude, honey. I'm talking about expanding our horizons. Just experimenting a little with Ryan, Johnny stated, remembering all the times he'd come home to find Amber on her phone, quickly switching apps when he entered the room. The hushed conversations that stopped when he approached. The knowing looks between her and Mary. He offered, Mary said excitedly. And Mom, he's perfect for this. Young, hot, totally gets the whole open relationship thing. Stop. Johnny's voice cut through the kitchen like a blade. Just stop. The scene reminded him of last month's dinner party, when Amber had invited Ryan over as her fitness consultant. The whole evening had been a carefully orchestrated show, with Ryan dominating the conversation about his clients' lifestyle choices while Amber hung on his every word. Mary had spent the entire night shooting meaningful glances at her mother and making pointed comments about modern relationships. Daddy. Mary's tone turned wheedling, the way it did when she wanted a new car or a higher allowance. Don't you want Mom to be happy? When was the last time you really made her happy? The question stung because Johnny could pinpoint exactly when he'd last seen genuine happiness on Amber's face 3 months ago, when he'd surprised her with a trip to the Caymans. She'd been ecstatic, right until she discovered their suite wasn't as luxurious as the one her friend Sandra had stayed in last year. The rest of the vacation had been spent hearing about how he should have booked the presidential suite instead. I don't know, Mary. Maybe when I was paying your college tuition, or buying your mother that beach house she just had to have. The bitterness in his voice surprised even him. See? Amber dropped her hand from his arm, her face arranging itself into an expression of hurt. This is exactly why I need this. You're so trapped in your boring, conventional mindset, always about money and responsibility. The words echoed in his mind, reminding him of countless similar conversations. Like the time Amber had maxed out 3 credit cards on a shopping spree and defended it by saying he was too focused on money. Or when Mary had crashed her second new car and accused him of being obsessed with responsibility when he suggested she start paying for her own insurance. Yeah, how dare you provide for your family? Mary's sarcasm cut deep. Mom needs passion, excitement. When's the last time you gave her that? Johnny looked at his daughter, this stranger wearing Mary's face. This girl he'd taught to ride a bike and read bedtime stories to, now eagerly planning her mother's infidelity. He remembered the day she left for college, how hopeful he'd been that she'd grow into her own person. Instead, she'd return more like Amber than ever, complete with her mother's manipulative tactics and sense of entitlement. And you think helping your mother cheat on your father is the answer? It's not cheating if everyone agrees, Amber interjected smoothly. Just one time to start, to see how it feels. Ryan's already said he's interested. Of course he is. Johnny's laugh held no humor. And I'm sure he came up with this idea completely on his own. He thought about the gradual changes in Amber's behavior since she'd started training with Ryan 3 months ago. The way she'd started dressing differently for her gym sessions, wearing outfits that cost more than most people's monthly grocery bills. The constant texting, the social media posts, the not-so-subtle comments about keeping her options open. Actually, he did, Mary said proudly. He was telling Mom about all these other couples he knows who do it. It's like totally normal in the fitness world. Johnny remembered overhearing Ryan at their dinner party, bragging about his special relationships with his clients. How many other marriages had he destroyed with his practiced lines and carefully cultivated image? The fitness world, Johnny repeated, where 20-something trainers sleep with their married clients and call it progressive. God, you're so judgmental. Amber moved away, her body language shifting to wounded victim. This is why I can't talk to you about anything. You never understand what I need. The accusation brought back memories of countless similar conversations. Every time he questioned her excessive spending or pointed out Mary's increasingly disrespectful behavior, he'd been labeled judgmental or controlling. It was their go-to defense, a well-practiced routine designed to make him doubt himself. What you need, Johnny said slowly. Well, what you want. Because from where I'm standing, you have everything you need. The house, the car, the vacations, the shopping sprees. But it's never enough, is it? His mind flashed to their 15th anniversary, when he'd surprised Amber with a new Mercedes. She'd smiled for the photos, then complained for weeks that Sandra's husband had bought her a Bentley. The car sat in their garage now, barely driven, replaced by whatever newer model had caught her eye. Material things aren't everything, Mary jumped in, defending her mother as always. Mom needs emotional fulfillment, passion, romance. Johnny remembered how Mary used to run to him when she was little, her eyes bright with love and admiration. Now those same eyes held only contempt, mirrors of her mother's calculating gaze. The transformation had been gradual but complete. Every weekend home from college seemed to strip away more of the daughter he'd known. And Ryan's going to provide that, is he? In between his other married clients? At least he notices me. Amber's voice rose. At least he sees me as a woman, not just a trophy wife to show off at your boring corporate events. The irony of her words wasn't lost on Johnny. Last month's charity gala flashed through his mind. Amber complaining about the table placement, demanding they leave early because more important people were having an after-party. She'd spent the entire evening on her phone, presumably texting Ryan. Trophy wife. Johnny's control slipped slightly. Is that what you think you are? The trophy wife who maxes out credit cards, demands constant upgrades to everything, and now wants permission to sleep with her trainer. He thought of the credit card statements hidden in his office drawer, evidence of Amber's latest shopping sprees. Designer clothes she wore once and discarded, spa treatments that cost more than some people's rent, endless charges from boutiques and salons. Stop making it sound so sordid, Mary snapped. Mom's not asking for anything unreasonable, just freedom to explore. The word freedom triggered another memory, Amber's tearful manipulation when she'd wanted to join that exclusive country club last year. I feel so trapped, she claimed, like I'm not allowed to have my own life. He'd signed the check, and within a month, she'd lost interest, complaining that the other members weren't their kind of people. Freedom. Johnny picked up his briefcase. Interesting word choice for destroying a 20-year marriage. One time, Amber's voice turned soft, coaxing. That's all I'm asking for. One night to see how it feels. To add some excitement back into our lives. She moved closer again, pressing against him in a way that once would have weakened his resolve. Don't you want me to be happy? The manipulation was so obvious now that he could see it clearly. Every touch, every word, every gesture calculated to achieve maximum effect. He looked into her eyes and saw nothing but self-interest reflected back. Last week's therapy session, their third and final attempt at counseling, came to mind. Amber had spent the entire hour painting herself as the victim of an emotionally distant marriage, while Mary sat in support, backing up every exaggeration and outright lie. The therapist, a young woman fresh out of school, had eaten it up, suggesting that perhaps Johnny needed to open his mind to alternative relationship structures. I need time to think, he said finally, stepping away from her touch. Don't take too long, Amber called after him as he headed for the door. Ryan's not going to wait forever. Yeah, Dad. Mary's voice followed him out. Mom deserves this. Don't be selfish. The garage door closed behind him with a final sounding thud. Johnny sat in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. The morning sun caught his wedding ring, and for the first time in 20 years, its weight felt like a shackle rather than a symbol of love. In the privacy of his car, Johnny pulled out his phone and began searching for divorce lawyers. The top result was Hamilton and Associates, known for handling high-profile divorces with discretion. His finger hovered over the number for a moment before pressing dial. Hamilton and Associates, how may I direct your call? I need to speak with someone about initiating divorce proceedings, Johnny said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Mr. Hamilton has an opening this afternoon at 2. Would that work for you? He thought of the board meeting scheduled for that time, the one where he was supposed to present the quarterly projections. Yes, that's perfect. The drive to work gave him time to reflect on the morning's events. Each mile marked another memory of manipulation surfacing, like the time 3 months ago when Amber had first mentioned Ryan, casually dropping his name in a conversation over dinner. He's so inspiring, she'd said, twirling pasta around her fork. You should see how he motivates his clients. Mary thinks I should book extra sessions. Mary had nodded enthusiastically. He's amazing, Dad. All Mom's friends are jealous she got him as a trainer. He usually has a waiting list. Now he wondered how many of those clients had ended up in similar situations, manipulated into accepting their own destruction under the guise of progressive thinking. Pulling into his reserved parking space at Martinez and Associates, the firm he'd built from the ground up while Amber spent his earnings. Johnny noticed 3 missed calls from Mary. A text followed, "Mom's crying because of you. Hope you're happy with yourself." Inside his corner office, his executive assistant Sarah looked up with concern. "Are you all right, Mr. Martinez? You look pale." "Clear my afternoon," he replied, loosening his tie slightly. "And give me all the files from the Henderson divorce case from last year." Sarah's eyes widened slightly. She'd been with him long enough to know the Henderson case had involved a cheating spouse who'd tried to claim half the company in the settlement. "Of course. Should I also pull the documentation on your personal assets?" Johnny managed a tight smile. Sarah's efficiency was one of the reasons he'd promoted her from the legal department 5 years ago. "Yes. And Sarah? This stays between us." "Always, sir." The morning passed in a blur of meetings and conference calls. But beneath his professional exterior, Johnny's mind worked steadily. Between client meetings, he began gathering evidence, screenshots of Amber's social media interactions with Ryan, bank statements showing her excessive spending, recordings of conversations when possible. During his lunch break, he drove to Hamilton and Associates, a discreet building in the business district. Robert Hamilton's office spoke of old money and discretion, with leather-bound books lining the walls and a view of the city skyline. "Tell me, Mr. Martinez," Hamilton said after listening to Johnny's situation, "when did you first notice the changes in your wife's behaviors?" Johnny thought carefully. The manipulation was always there, but subtle. "It escalated after our daughter went to college. She came back, different, started encouraging her mother's worst tendencies. And this trainer, Ryan, do you have documentation of their interactions? Text messages, social media, gym receipts. She's been booking private sessions 3 times a week for the past 3 months." Hamilton nodded, making notes. "And your daughter's involvement?" "She's been instrumental in facilitating everything. Encouraging her mother, making excuses, planning their meetings." The words tasted bitter. "Family court tends to look unfavorably on parental alienation," Hamilton observed. "If you can document your daughter's role in undermining your marriage, it could be significant." The meeting lasted an hour, during which Johnny laid out every instance of manipulation and betrayal he could remember. Hamilton took detailed notes, occasionally asking for clarification or suggesting additional documentation they'd need. "One last question," Hamilton said as Johnny prepared to leave. "Are you certain about this? Some men in your position choose to look the other way, preserve their assets, maintain the status quo." Johnny met Hamilton's gaze steadily. "I've spent 20 years looking the other way, making excuses, letting them manipulate me. That ends now." Driving back to the office, his phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from both Amber and Mary. He ignored them all, focusing instead on what needed to be done. The afternoon passed in a series of calculated moves, calling his bank to freeze joint accounts, documenting recent withdrawals, archiving emails and text messages. Sarah brought in coffee at 4, along with a stack of financial records. "I've highlighted the unusual spending patterns from the past 6 months," she said quietly. "There are some interesting charges from boutiques near the gym." Johnny examined the statements, noting the pattern. Expensive workout clothes, spa treatments, salon visits, all escalating since Ryan had entered the picture. "Thank you, Sarah. Could you also—" His phone buzzed again, this time with a photo from Mary. It showed Amber at the gym, posed next to Ryan after what was presumably their latest session. The caption read, "Mom's getting her glow back. Someone finally appreciates her." The photo had been staged. That much was obvious. Amber wearing full makeup at what was supposed to be a workout, her casual gym outfit probably costing more than most people's entire wardrobes. Ryan standing too close, his hand placed possessively on her waist. "Sir?" Sarah's voice brought him back to the present. "Sorry, could you pull the security footage from the house for the past month? Focus on the days Amber had her training sessions." By 6, his office desk had become a command center of sorts, financial records, legal documents, and evidence of betrayal spread out in neat piles. Each piece told part of a story he should have seen years ago. The drive home felt different, knowing what waited for him. The house lights were on, and he could see Amber's silhouette moving past the living room windows. For a moment, he remembered how it felt 20 years ago, coming home to someone he thought loved him, Inside, the house smelled of expensive perfume. Amber waited in the living room, dressed in a red dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Mary sat beside her, both of them looking up expectantly as he entered. "Have you thought about what we discussed?" Amber asked, patting the sofa beside her. The gesture was so familiar, the same one she'd used countless times when manipulating him into buying something they couldn't afford or agreeing to some social obligation he'd hated. Johnny remained standing. "I have," and her smile was predatory, confident in her power over him. He looked at them both, his wife and daughter, mirror images of entitlement and manipulation. In that moment, he made his decision. "One time," he said, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. "That's all." The lie felt strange on his tongue, but he kept his face neutral. Let them think they'd won. Let them believe they'd broken him one final time. Amber clapped her hands together like a child promised a treat. "I knew you'd understand." "Mary, honey?" He said yes. Mary was already on her phone, fingers flying across the screen. "I'm telling Ryan now. He's free this Saturday." "This Saturday?" Something cold settled in Johnny's chest. "You already had this planned?" "Of course," Amber stood, smoothing down her dress. "I knew you'd come around. You always do." The confidence in her voice made his stomach turn. She wasn't wrong. For 20 years, he'd given in to every demand, every manipulation, every subtle betrayal. Each time convincing himself it was for the sake of their marriage, their family. "Ryan's so excited," Mary gushed, still typing on her phone. "He says he knows this amazing restaurant downtown. Very private, very intimate." She looked up at Johnny with barely concealed disdain. "Don't worry, Dad. He's going to take good care of Mom." "I'm sure he will." Johnny's voice remained steady, even as his hands clenched at his sides. "Just like he takes care of all his other married clients?" Amber shot him a warning look. "Don't start with that attitude, honey. This is exactly why I need this. You're so negative about everything." "Yeah," Mary chimed in. "Ryan says negativity is toxic to personal growth. You should hear him talk about energy and connections. He's so deep, Dad. Not like me," Johnny finished. "The boring husband who only provides the house, the cars, the credit cards. The father who paid for your education, so you could come back and help plan your mother's affair." "It's not an affair." Amber's voice rose slightly. "It's an arrangement, an adventure, something to bring excitement back to our marriage." Johnny watched as they exchanged glances, mother and daughter, co-conspirators in the destruction of his family. How many times had they sat like this, planning and plotting while he worked to maintain their lifestyle? "I'm going to my office," he said quietly. "You two can finish planning your adventure." "Don't be like that, honey," Amber called after him. "This could be good for us." Ryan says lots of couples grow closer after experiences like this. In his home office, Johnny closed the door and sat at his desk. Through the wall, he could hear their excited voices planning the details of Saturday night. What Amber would wear, where they would go, how they would orchestrate the betrayal of their marriage. He opened his laptop and began composing an email to Hamilton, attaching recordings from the day's conversations. Let them think they'd won. Let them believe he was the same pushover he'd always been. A knock at his door interrupted his typing. Mary entered without waiting for a response. "Dad? Mom wants to know your credit card number. The restaurant Ryan picked requires a deposit." Johnny looked at his daughter, really looked at her. Gone was the little girl who used to bring him drawings from school, replaced by this stranger who saw nothing wrong with helping destroy her parents' marriage. "Use your mother's card," he said flatly. "God, you're being so difficult about this." Mary rolled her eyes. "It's not like you don't have the money. And Mom deserves what your mother deserves, and what she's getting may be two very different things." Johnny cut her off. "Now, please, I have work to do." "Whatever." Mary turned to leave, then paused at the door. "You know, Ryan says men who can't adapt to modern relationships are usually hiding their own insecurities." After she left, Johnny returned to his documentation, methodically recording every interaction, every manipulation, every betrayal. Through the wall, he could hear Amber on the phone, presumably with Ryan, her laughter carrying that breathless quality he'd once found charming. The foundation of his marriage was crumbling, But for the first time in years, Johnny felt a strange sense of clarity. The weight of maintaining their facade of perfect family life was lifting, replaced by a cold, clear purpose. Let them think they'd broken him. Soon enough, they'd learn that sometimes the quietest men cast the longest shadows. The sound of their continued planning drifted through the walls, but it no longer had the power to hurt him. Saturday would come, and with it, the final proof he needed. Then Monday would bring a different kind of meeting, one with Hamilton and Associates, where 20 years of manipulation and betrayal would finally meet justice. Johnny opened a new document and began typing, his fingers moving steadily across the keyboard. At the top, he wrote a simple title, Documentation of Betrayal. Below it, he started with today's date and worked backward, recording every instance of manipulation, every lie, every moment that had led to this breaking point. Let them have their Saturday night. Let them think they'd won. The time for being the understanding husband, the forgiving father, was over. Now was the time for justice. Saturday arrived with the weight of inevitability. Johnny sat in his home office, listening to the sounds of preparation echoing through the house. Amber's excitement was palpable, her voice carrying up the stairs as she talked on the phone. "I know, Sandra. Can you believe he actually agreed?" Amber's laughter floated up. "Ryan's taking me to LeBlanc." "No, the new one downtown. Of course I got a new dress. You think I'd wear something he's already seen?" Mary's voice chimed in. "Mom, Ryan just texted. He's suggesting the 9 o'clock reservation instead of 8. Perfect. Tell him that works better. Your father won't suspect anything that way." Johnny's jaw tightened at their casual discussion of deception. He opened his laptop, checking the notification from the private investigator he'd hired. The man was already in position, ready to document every moment of tonight's betrayal. The sound of heels clicking on hardwood drew closer. His office door opened without a knock. They'd long since stopped showing him that basic courtesy. "Daddy." Mary leaned against the doorframe, her expression a perfect mirror of her mother's manipulative pout. "We need your credit card for the restaurant deposit." Johnny turned in his chair. "I thought Ryan was handling the arrangements." "Well, yeah, but Mom wants to make sure they get the best table. LeBlanc requires a premium deposit for their private sections." She rolled her eyes. "It's not like you can't afford it. The platinum card is in my wallet downstairs." "Thanks." She started to leave, then turned back. "You know, you're being surprisingly cool about this. Mom was worried you'd make a scene." "Was she?" "Yeah. Ryan said you'd probably try to stop it from happening. He deals with a lot of jealous husbands in his line of work." Mary's smile turned smug. "But I told Mom you wouldn't dare. Not after everything she's put up with all these years." Johnny leaned forward in his chair. "What exactly has your mother put up with, Mary?" "Oh, please." Mary crossed her arms. "The boring corporate events, the cheap anniversary gifts. Remember that resort in the Caymans? Mom's friend Jennifer went to Bali for her anniversary. Like the actual Four Seasons, not some discount paradise. The resort that cost $30,000 was a discount. It's not about the money, Dad. It's about the effort, the romance." She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos. "Look at what Ryan's planning for tonight. He's having roses delivered to their private table. He knows how to treat a woman with another man's money," Johnny noted coldly. Mary's face flushed. "God, you're so obsessed with money. No wonder Mom needs more. Ryan says, 'Get out of my office.'" "What?" I said, "Get out." His voice remained steady, but something in his tone made Mary step back. "Go help your mother plan her date. Just don't expect me to fund it." "Fine. Be that way." Mary stalked toward the door, then turned with a final barb. "You know what Ryan calls men like you? Emotional terrorists. Controlling everything with money because you can't compete any other way." After she left, Johnny heard the murmur of voices downstairs. Mary no doubt reporting to Amber about his refusal. Within minutes, the clicking of heels announced another visitor. Amber appeared in the doorway, wearing a red dress that left little to the imagination. "Honey, we need to talk about tonight." "Do we?" "Don't be difficult." She moved into the office, perching on his desk the way she used to years ago when she wanted something. "I thought we agreed this would be good for our marriage." "Did we?" Johnny kept his voice neutral. I remember agreeing to let you go on a date. I don't remember agreeing to pay for it. It's just dinner, darling." Her hand reached out to touch his tie, another old manipulation tactic. Ryan picked somewhere special. Private. Discreet. I'm sure he did. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Johnny moved back slightly, avoiding her touch. Just wondering how many other husbands have paid for their wives to have private, discreet dinners with him. Amber's eyes narrowed. "You're being intentionally cruel. This isn't like you, Johnny. Usually, you're so understanding." Understanding? He met her gaze. "Is that what you call it?" "Yes. Understanding. Supportive. The perfect husband who wants his wife to be happy." Her voice took on a familiar wheedling tone. "That's all this is, honey. Me exploring what makes me happy. And what makes you happy is having your trainer's hands all over you." Johnny's words cut through her manipulation. Amber's face hardened. "Don't be crude. Ryan is a professional." "A professional what?" "Homewrecker." "Mom?" Mary's voice called from downstairs. "Ryan's on his way. He says to wear the blue earrings, not the silver ones." Amber stood, smoothing her dress. "I won't let you ruin this for me, Johnny. I've earned this night." "Earned it?" He let out a harsh laugh. "With whose money? Whose house? Whose life have you been spending?" "Oh, here we go again with the money." She threw up her hands. "You know what Ryan says about men who—" "I don't give a damn what Ryan says." Johnny's voice remained controlled, but ice cold. "Go on your date. Wear your expensive dress and your blue earrings. Just remember something." "What's that?" "Actions have consequences." Amber's laugh was brittle. "Is that supposed to be a threat?" "Please. We both know you'll get over this, just like you get over everything else. By tomorrow, you'll be back to your usual passive self, pretending nothing happened." "Mom!" Mary called again. "The car service is here. Have fun tonight," Johnny said quietly. "Make sure Ryan gets everything on video." Amber paused at the door. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just thinking about how much evidence a good divorce lawyer needs these days." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Amber's face. But it vanished quickly, replaced by her usual confident smirk. "You won't divorce me. You don't have the spine for it." She left in a wave of expensive perfume, her heels clicking down the hallway. Moments later, he heard her and Mary's excited voices at the front door. "Oh my God, Mom, you look amazing." Mary gushed. "Ryan's going to die when he sees you." "You think? The dress isn't too much." "It's perfect. Here, let me get a picture for Instagram." Johnny waited until he heard the front door close before moving to the window. He watched as Amber climbed into the waiting luxury car, Mary taking photos the entire time. His phone buzzed with a text from the private investigator. "In position. Will follow at a distance." The house felt eerily quiet after they left. Mary had announced she was going to her friend Ashley's house for the night, not wanted to be around her father's negative energy. Johnny sat in his office, methodically reviewing the evidence he'd gathered over the past week. His phone lit up with a text from Mary. "Mom and Ryan just got to Le Blanc. They look so perfect together. Maybe this will teach you to appreciate her more." Attached was a photo of Amber and Ryan at what appeared to be a private dining room. Ryan's hand rested possessively on her lower back, his practiced smile gleaming under the intimate lighting. Amber looked radiant, basking in the attention. Throughout the evening, Mary kept up a steady stream of updates, each text designed to twist the knife deeper. "Ryan ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. When's the last time you did that for Mom?" They're feeding each other dessert. "So romantic." Mom can't stop giggling. "Ryan just asked Mom to go dancing after dinner. He says she's too beautiful to go home early." Johnny watched the timestamps on the messages grow later, each one accompanied by photos that would serve as evidence. His private investigator was also sending regular updates, more detailed and damning than Mary's taunting messages. At 11:30, his phone rang. It was the investigator. "Mr. Martinez? They've left Le Blanc, but they're not heading home." "Where are they going?" "The Skyline Hotel downtown. Ryan has a suite there. Do you want me to continue surveillance?" "Yes. Document everything." Moments later, another text from Mary arrived. "Mom's not coming home tonight." "Don't wait up." Johnny opened his laptop and began typing a detailed account of the evening's events. Each message, each photo, Each piece of evidence was carefully cataloged and time-stamped. The private investigator's photos showed everything. The intimate dinner, the dancing, the way Ryan's hands wandered increasingly lower as the evening progressed. At midnight, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Amber. "Don't wait up, honey." Her voice was slightly slurred from wine. "Ryan's showing me his private gym suite at the Skyline. For training purposes. Is that what you're calling it now?" A man's voice in the background. Ryan said something that made Amber giggle. "Don't be such a downer, Johnny. This is what modern marriages are all about. Right, Ryan? Your husband should be thankful." Ryan's voice came through clearly now. "Most guys would kill to have their wives looking as good as Amber does tonight. You hear that?" Amber's voice turned smug. "A real man's opinion. A real man doesn't prey on married women," Johnny replied coldly. Ryan's laugh was contemptuous. "Pray? Please. Amber's been begging for this for months. Tell him, babe." "It's true," Amber said. "Every time you ignored me for work, every boring weekend, every cheap anniversary gift, I was thinking about Ryan. About what it would be like to be with a man who actually knows how to excite a woman. And now you'll find out." Ryan's voice grew closer to the phone. "Don't worry, old man. I'll take good care of your wife tonight." The call ended, but moments later a text came through from an unknown number. Ryan with a photo of Amber posed provocatively on what appeared to be a hotel bed. "Just a preview of what you're missing," the message read. "Maybe if you'd worked out more and worked less, she wouldn't be in my bed tonight." Johnny saved the text and photo to his evidence folder, then dialed Hamilton's private number. Despite the late hour, the lawyer answered on the second ring. "They're at the Skyline Hotel," Johnny said without preamble. "Both of them are documenting everything, sending photographic evidence of the affair." "Perfect," Hamilton replied. "And your daughter's involvement?" "She's been coordinating the whole thing, sending taunting messages, photos, updates. All documented." "Excellent. The judge will be particularly interested in that aspect. Are you proceeding with Phase 2? "Yes. Starting now." Johnny ended the call and opened his laptop. With methodical precision, he began executing the plan he'd spent the past week preparing. First, he transferred half of all joint accounts to his private account, the maximum legally allowed before divorce proceedings. Then he sent a pre-written email to his bank's fraud department, flagging suspicious activity on Amber's credit cards. His phone buzzed again with another message from Mary. "Mom says the hotel suite is amazing. Way better than that boring resort you took her to. Ryan really knows how to treat a woman." Attached was a photo of champagne bottles and scattered rose petals. Johnny added it to his growing file of evidence, then began Phase 2. He walked through the house, photographing every expensive item Amber had purchased with Marshall funds. The designer clothes, the jewelry, the art pieces all would need to be accounted for in the divorce. At 2 a.m., his phone lit up with a call from a number he didn't recognize. "Mr. Martinez?" A professional female voice came through. "This is hotel security at the Skyline. We have an incident involving your wife's credit cards." "What kind of incident?" "Several charges have been flagged as potentially fraudulent. The cards have been declined and temporarily suspended. Ms. Martinez is quite insistent that we contact you to resolve the situation." "I see," Johnny said calmly. "And what exactly is she trying to charge?" "The premium suite, sir, along with room service and several bottles from our reserve wine list. The total comes to just over $12,000. In the background, he could hear Amber's voice rising. "This is ridiculous. Those are my cards. Just call my husband. He'll sort this out." "Put her on the phone," Johnny said. There was a shuffle. Then Amber's voice came through, sharp with anger. "Johnny, what the hell is going on? My cards are being declined." "Are they? How inconvenient. Especially on such a special night. Don't play games. Call the bank and fix this." "Fix what?" "I thought Ryan was taking care of everything. Isn't that what Mary said? That he knows how to treat a woman?" Ryan's voice cut in, apparently near enough to hear. "Just handle it, man. Don't embarrass your wife like this." "My wife?" Johnny's laugh was cold. "You mean the woman you're planning to sleep with? Tell me, Ryan, how many other married women have you trained at the Skyline?" "Listen, old man." "No, you listen." Johnny's voice turned to steel. "You wanted to play games with a married woman? Welcome to the consequences." "Amber, The cards are suspended pending a fraud investigation. All of them. You can't do this. Amber's voice cracked with panic. What am I supposed to do? Perhaps your boyfriend can cover the bill. He's so successful, isn't he? All those private clients? Sir? The hotel security officer's voice came back on. We need to resolve the payment situation. Otherwise, we'll have to contact the authorities about potential credit card fraud. Contact them, Johnny said clearly. In fact, I insist. I'd love to file a formal report about unauthorized charges on my accounts. I'm sure the responding officers will be very interested in the whole situation. You wouldn't dare, Amber hissed. Wouldn't I? You seem to have forgotten something. Amber, I'm not the weak, passive husband you think I am. Not anymore. Ryan will pay for it, she said quickly. Right, Ryan? There was a telling silence on the other end. Ryan? Amber's voice rose with desperation. Tell them you'll handle it. Babe, my cards are actually maxed out right now. End of the month, you know. But I'm sure your cards are maxed? Amber's voice cracked. But you said, all those clients, the luxury lifestyle. Ma'am, the security officer cut in. We need to resolve this now. If no one can provide valid payment, we'll have to involve the authorities. Call Mary, Amber said suddenly. She'll help us figure this out. Already tried, Ryan muttered. She's not answering. Johnny smiled coldly. Probably because her cards are suspended too. Amazing how quickly banks respond to potential fraud alerts. You planned this, Amber accused. You set this whole thing up. Did I? Or did you and our daughter plan this whole evening? Thinking you could humiliate me, and I'd just take it? That I'd finance my own betrayal? Sir, ma'am, the security officer's voice grew firmer. I'm calling PD now. They can sort this out. Perfect, Johnny said. Ask them to send Detective Rogers. He's already been briefed on the situation. What situation? Ryan demanded. Listen, man, this is just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Let's see. You pursued a married client, orchestrated an affair, documented it all with photos and texts, and now you're trying to charge thousands to her husband's accounts. That sounds less like a misunderstanding and more like potential criminal charges. Criminal charges? Ryan's voice cracked. Amber, you said this was all cool with him. He agreed. Johnny, please, you're making a scene. No, Amber, you and Mary made the scene. Every photo, every taunting message, every moment of this night, it's all documented. Ready for your boyfriend's arrest report? Or maybe the divorce proceedings? Your choice. The silence that followed was deafening. The police are on their way, the security officer announced. They've requested everyone remain in the lobby. Perfect timing, Johnny said. I believe my private investigator has some interesting footage to share with them. Good night, Amber. Give Ryan my best while you can. He ended the call and turned to his laptop, where emails from his investigator continued to arrive with photos and videos documenting the entire evening. Each piece of evidence, another nail in the coffin of his marriage. His phone immediately lit up with frantic texts from both Amber and Mary. Daddy, please. Mom's crying. You have to fix this. Johnny, don't do this. We can talk about this. Dad, the police are here. This is so humiliating. Johnny watched as the messages flooded in, each more desperate than the last. The police are taking statements. Ryan keeps saying he didn't know I was married. How could you do this to me? Amber, Dad, this is insane. Everyone at the hotel is staring. Mom's mascara is running everywhere. Mary, bro, this is all a big misunderstanding. I never meant to. Ryan, he blocked Ryan's number mid-message and turned his attention to the incoming email from Detective Rogers. Mr. Martinez, situation contained at the Skyline. Your wife and her companion are being questioned about the attempted credit card fraud. Would you like to press charges? Johnny typed his response, yes. All of them. And Detective, please ensure the media stays away from this. My lawyer will be in touch. The house phone rang Amber's mother, no doubt already informed of the scandal. He let it go to voicemail. Then his cell phone lit up with a call from Mary. What? He answered coldly. Dad, you have to come down here. Mary's voice shook. The police are saying something about credit card fraud and possible charges against Ryan. This isn't funny anymore. Funny? Was it funny when you helped plan this? When you sent me photos of your mother with another man. When you encouraged her to destroy our marriage. I was trying to help her be happy. Ryan said. Ryan said what? That it's normal to destroy families? That it's modern to commit fraud. He didn't do anything wrong. Your mother wanted to humiliate me. You wanted to help her do it. Congratulations. You both succeeded. Now you get to deal with the consequences. In the background, he could hear Amber's voice rising hysterically. Tell him to call off the police. Tell him I'm sorry. Mom's crying. Mary said, her voice small. The police are talking about taking Ryan to the station. Please, Daddy. Don't call me that. You lost that right when you helped orchestrate this circus. Put your mother on the phone. There was a shuffle. Then Amber's voice came through, thick with tears. Johnny, please. This has gone too far. We can talk about this. Talk? Like how you talked about me with Ryan? Or how you and Mary planned this whole night? I made a mistake. We both did. Just call off the police? And we can what? Go back to normal? Pretend this never happened? His laugh was harsh. Check your email, Amber. I just sent you something. There was silence on the line, then the sound of fumbling with the phone. He heard Amber's sharp intake of breath. What is all this? Everything, Johnny said coldly. Every text, every photo, every email between you and Ryan. Your gym session receipts, hotel reservations, credit card statements, Mary's messages coordinating your dates. All of it. You've been spying on me? Gathering evidence. There's a difference. These photos, you had someone following us? A licensed private investigator. Very thorough. The judge will appreciate that. Judge? Amber's voice cracked. What judge? Check the last attachment. Another pause, then a strangled sob. Divorce papers? You can't be serious. Dead serious. Hamilton and Associates are very good at what they do, especially with cases involving adultery and financial fraud. Financial fraud never committed fraud. No. Unauthorized charges on marital accounts to fund an affair? Conspiracy to misuse credit cards? The police seem to think differently. So does my lawyer. Mary's voice cut in, panicked. Dad, the police are taking Ryan to their car. He's in handcuffs. Good. Amber shrieked. They're arresting him. Over a hotel bill. No. They're arresting him for fraud, potential exploitation, and whatever else Hamilton's team digs up about his other clients. I'm sure the gym will be interested to hear about his special training sessions. You're destroying his life. Like you try to destroy mine? Johnny's voice turned to ice. The difference is, I'm doing it legally. With evidence. With consequences. What do you want? Amber's voice dropped to a whisper. Money? The house? What will it take to make this go away? Go away? No, Amber. This isn't one of your manipulations. This isn't something you can fix with tears or guilt or promises. This is the end. The end of what? Everything. The marriage. The facades. The manipulation. By tomorrow morning, the divorce papers will be filed. By next week, everyone will know exactly what you and Mary did. You can't do this to us. Mary's voice came back on the line. Everyone will know? My friends, my social circle. Your social circle? Johnny cut in. You mean the people you've been sending updates to all night? The ones you shared photos with of your mother's affair? That was different. It was supposed to be romantic. Ryan said a lot of things. Now he's saying them to the police. A commotion in the background caught his attention. Amber's voice rising shrilly. No, you can't take him. We didn't do anything wrong. Sir, a new voice came on the line, Detective Rogers. We're taking the suspect into custody. Your wife is becoming disruptive. Should we proceed with booking her as well? Johnny considered for a moment. Is she interfering with the arrest? Yes, sir. And making threats about legal retaliation. Then do your job, detective. No special treatment. Dad, no. Mary screamed. They're putting handcuffs on Mom. Please. Actions have consequences, Mary. Remember when you texted me that photo of them at dinner? Said I needed to learn my lesson? Well, here's yours. Through the phone, he could hear Amber's hysteria. You can't arrest me. Do you know who my husband is? Johnny, tell them. Actually, he said clearly, by this time tomorrow, I won't be your husband. I'll be your soon-to-be ex-husband who's pressing charges. Pressing charges? Mary's voice shook. Against your own wife. Ex-wife, he corrected. And yes, credit card fraud is just the beginning. Hamilton has quite a list. Conspiracy, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Apparently helping plan your mother's affair and documenting it for social media wasn't as modern as Ryan led you to believe. But where am I supposed to go? Where's Mom supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Though I hear the Skyline Hotel has some openings. If you can afford it. He ended the call and turned back to his laptop, where emails from Hamilton were already arriving with updates. The divorce filing was ready. The evidence was organized. Everything was in place. His phone buzzed one final time, a text from the private investigator. All recorded. Both suspects in custody. Mrs. Martinez and daughter left scene in taxi. Need anything else? No, Johnny typed back. That's all the evidence we need. He stood and walked to the window, watching as the first hints of dawn began to color the sky. In a few hours, the comfortable life Amber had taken for granted would begin to crumble. The bank accounts would be frozen. The credit cards canceled. The truth would spread through their social circle like wildfire. Let them feel the humiliation they'd planned for him. Let them face the consequences of their choices. He'd spent 20 years being the understanding husband, the forgiving father. That time was over. His phone lit up with one last message from Mary. I hate you for this. We'll never forgive you. Johnny smiled coldly as he typed his response. Good. Because I'll never forgive you either. The morning headlines blazed across every local news site. Fitness trainer arrested in luxury hotel scandal. Prominent businessman's wife caught in fraud scheme. Social media affair leads to multiple arrests. Johnny sat in Hamilton's office, watching the coverage spread across multiple muted televisions mounted on the wall. Each station showed the same footage. Ryan being led out of the Skyline Hotel in handcuffs. Amber being escorted to a police car. Mary screaming at officers in the background. The press is having a field day, Hamilton said, spreading papers across his mahogany desk. Your wife's boyfriend had quite a history. 3 other husbands have already come forward since the morning news broke. Tell me. Johnny leaned forward. Similar pattern with all of them. He'd target wealthy clients' wives, orchestrate affairs, run up charges. 2 in Highland Park, 1 in River Oaks. All married women with access to substantial funds. Hamilton pulled up documents on his tablet. The River Oaks case is particularly interesting. Wife maxed out 3 credit cards before the husband caught on, and Mary's social media posts? Everything's archived. Her Instagram story alone provides enough evidence to sink both Ryan's defense and your wife's claims to marital assets. Hamilton smiled grimly. Your daughter was quite thorough in documenting her mother's infidelity. Johnny's phone lit up with another message from Amber. The bank accounts are frozen. My cards are all declined. I can't even buy coffee. What am I supposed to do? Your wife's still trying to access the accounts? Hamilton asked. Ex-wife, Johnny corrected. And yes, 67 messages since midnight. She doesn't seem to understand the concept of consequences. The office phone buzzed. Hamilton's secretary's voice came through. Mrs. Martinez is in the lobby with her lawyer. She's demanding to speak with you both. Security says she's becoming disruptive. Perfect timing. Hamilton pressed the intercom. Send them up. Let's get this over with. Her lawyer? Johnny asked. Gerald Price. Divorce attorney, known for aggressive tactics and media manipulation. This should be interesting. Minutes later, Amber burst into the office with a short, sharp-featured man in an expensive suit. Her designer outfit from the previous night was wrinkled, her makeup smeared. The confident socialite was gone, replaced by someone Johnny barely recognized. How dare you freeze my accounts, she snarled. I had to borrow money from my mother to bail Ryan out. Do you know how humiliating that was? Mrs. Martinez, Hamilton stood. And Mr. Price, please have a seat. We have much to discuss. We certainly do. Price stepped forward, placing his briefcase on Hamilton's desk with a theatrical thud. My client demands immediate access to all marital accounts and assets. This vindictive financial isolation. Vindictive? Hamilton raised an eyebrow. Interesting choice of words. Shall we review the events of last night? The unauthorized charges, the attempted fraud, the social media documentation. Those charges were authorized. Amber cut in. Johnny agreed to the date. Tell them. The date? Hamilton opened a folder. You mean the conspiracy to commit credit card fraud that your daughter so helpfully documented on Instagram? Let's review some of her posts, shall we? He turned his tablet around, displaying Mary's Instagram story from the previous night. Mom's big night with Ryan. Dad's card's better, not decline, lol. Sweet life at the skyline. Hope Daddy's ready to pay up. Ryan says this is just the beginning. Sorry, not sorry, Dad. Those were jokes, Price interjected quickly. Youthful exuberance. Not evidence of the office door burst open again as Mary stormed in, her face flushed with anger. Dad, my Instagram account is gone. All my social media is locked. I can't even log into Facebook. Yes, Hamilton said smoothly. Documenting criminal conspiracy tends to have that effect. Social media platforms take a dim view of being used to broadcast fraud and infidelity. It wasn't fraud. Mary's voice cracked. I was just posting about Mom's date. A date? Hamilton picked up another folder. Let's examine that. You posted 37 updates between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., each one detailing expenses being charged to your father's accounts. You specifically mentioned, and I quote, Ryan says to run everything through Daddy's Platinum card. He won't dare dispute the charges. That was Ryan's idea. Mary protested. He said Dad would be too embarrassed to fight the charges. Yes, Ryan. Hamilton clicked his tablet. Let's discuss your mother's boyfriend. Detective Rogers sent over his preliminary report this morning. Would you like to hear his history? This is harassment, Price interrupted. My client's personal relationships are not. Your client's personal relationship is with a known fraudster. Hamilton cut in. 6 prior allegations of exploiting married clients. 3 pending investigations in Highland Park. And now, documented evidence of conspiracy to commit credit card fraud. You're lying. Amber shook her head. Ryan's not like that. He told me I was special. That what we had was what? Johnny spoke for the first time. Real? Like it was real with Jennifer Morrison in Highland Park? Or Sandra Thompson in River Oaks? Who? Amber's face went pale. Ryan's other special clients, Hamilton explained. Mrs. Morrison's husband came forward this morning. Apparently, Ryan used the same playbook. Private training sessions, romantic dinners, luxury hotel suites, all charged to the husband's accounts. No, Mary's voice was small. He wouldn't. He said Mom was different. He says that to all of them. Johnny stood, walking to the window. How many times did he tell you how special your mother was, Mary? How many times did you help him plan these dates while he drained other husbands' accounts? I didn't know. Mary's eyes filled with tears. Mom, tell them Ryan loves you. Amber's face had gone from pale to ashen. He said he'd leave his other clients for me. That once the divorce was final. What? Hamilton asked. He'd settle down? Marry you? Live off your settlement money until the next wealthy client came along. Enough! Price slammed his hand on the desk. We're here about the accounts. My client demands. Your client. Hamilton's voice turned cold, attempted to defraud her husband using documented conspiracy with her daughter and a known criminal. She's lucky we haven't added her name to the criminal complaint. Yet. Criminal complaint? Mary's voice cracked. But my college. My future. Should have thought about that before broadcasting felony fraud on Instagram, Hamilton replied. Johnny turned from the window. The accounts stay frozen. The cards stay canceled. The divorce proceeds is filed. You can't do this. Amber stood, her designer dress wrinkled and stained with tears. I'll tell everyone what you did, how you set us up. Set you up? Johnny laughed harshly. You mean how I let you and Mary plan your little adventure? How I watched you document every step of your betrayal. Go ahead. Tell everyone. The evidence speaks for itself. Evidence? Price leaned forward. What evidence? Hamilton opened his laptop, turning it toward them. 67 text messages from Mrs. Martinez about hotel charges. 37 social media posts from her daughter detailing the conspiracy. Full surveillance footage from the hotel showing Mr. Ryan attempting to charge over $12,000 to unauthorized accounts. Would you like me to continue? The office door opened again. Detective Rogers entered, his badge gleaming under the office lights. Mr. Martinez, we need to discuss the additional charges. Additional charges? Mary's voice rose to a shriek. What additional charges? 7 other victims have come forward, Rogers said, opening his notepad. All with the same pattern. Mr. Ryan targeted wealthy married women, orchestrated affairs, and ran up substantial charges. Your mother and you appear in several of the social media posts with these other victims. That's impossible, Amber whispered. Ryan said I was the only one he was seeing currently. Currently? Rogers raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Thompson's evidence suggests otherwise. She provided photos of Mr. Ryan at the same hotel, same suite, just last week. Your daughter actually liked several of the posts. Mary sank into a chair, her face ashen. I thought those were old photos. Ryan said they were from before he met Mom. When exactly did he tell you that? Rogers asked. Before or after you helped him plan last night's fraud attempt? It wasn't fraud, Amber protested weakly. Johnny agreed to the date. I agreed to expose you, Johnny corrected. To show everyone exactly who you and Mary have become. Congratulations. Mission accomplished. Hamilton's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then smiled coldly. The morning news cycle is picking up the story. Channel 4 is running a special report. Social media affair scandal. Local family destroyed by Instagram evidence. No. Mary grabbed her phone, frantically trying to access her accounts. I have to delete everything. Too late, Rogers said. Those posts are now evidence in multiple fraud investigations. Deleting them would be tampering with evidence, another felony. Felony? Price stood abruptly. Mrs. Martinez, we need to discuss your situation privately. These charges are more serious than you indicated. More serious? Amber's voice cracked. But Ryan said it was just a misunderstanding about the credit cards. A misunderstanding? Hamilton pulled up more documents. Let's review. Conspiracy to commit credit card fraud. Documentation of planned infidelity to influence divorce proceedings. Interstate wire fraud, yes. Those hotel charges cross state lines. Shall I continue? The color drained from Price's face. Mrs. Martinez, my office now. This conversation is over. No. Amber turned to Johnny, her eyes wild. You can't let them do this. I'm your wife. Ex-wife, Johnny corrected. And you did this to yourself. You and Mary. Every post, every message, every calculated attempt to humiliate me, it's all coming back to you now. Dad, please. Mary reached for him, mascara streaking down her face. I'll lose everything. My college friends, my sorority, like I lost my family. His voice was ice. Like I lost my daughter to her mother's manipulation. Actions have consequences, Mary. Welcome to yours. The media circus exploded over the next few days. Every local station ran the story. Socialite wife's affair exposed. Daughter's social media posts reveal fraud scheme. Fitness trainer's scam empire. Multiple victims come forward. College students' Instagram stories sink mother's divorce case. Johnny watched from his new downtown apartment as his ex-family's carefully constructed social world imploded. His phone buzzed constantly with messages from Amber's former friends. Johnny, we had no idea. Amber told us you approved everything. Those Instagram posts were shocking. How could Mary do that to her own father? Ryan tried the same thing with my sister last month. Thank God you exposed him. The most satisfying call came from Sandra Thompson, Ryan's previous victim. Mr. Martinez, I can't thank you enough. Her voice shook with emotion. After what Ryan did to my family, seeing him finally face consequences. How much did he take you for? Johnny asked. $30,000. Plus he convinced my daughter to help him just like Mary did. She posted everything online, thinking it was romantic. A bitter laugh. Now she can't even show her face at college. Mary's social destruction was particularly swift. Her sorority sisters, once eager participants in documenting her mother's romantic adventure, turned on her viciously, due to recent events and social media activity reflecting poorly on our values. We regretfully must terminate your membership. The message was posted publicly on the sorority's Instagram, tagged with Mary's name. Within hours, her entire social circle disintegrated. Dad! Mary's voice cracked during her seventh call that day. They're kicking me out of the sorority house. All my friends are blocking me. Friends? Johnny's voice was cold. You mean the ones who helped you broadcast my humiliation? Who liked and shared every post about your mother's affair? I have nowhere to go. Mom's staying with Grandma. But they won't take me too. That sounds like a personal problem. How can you be so cruel? I'm your daughter. No, he corrected. You're the person who helped destroy my family, who documented every step of your mother's betrayal, who turned my humiliation into social media entertainment. The university's response came next. Mary's tearful voicemail arrived at midnight. Dad, they're putting me on disciplinary probation. They say my social media activity violated the student code of conduct. My scholarship is under review. Please, you have to help me. Johnny deleted the message and opened his email to find an update from Hamilton. Ryan took a plea deal. Rolling on other conspirators. Your ex-wife's name came up multiple times. Detective Rogers wants to meet. The meeting at the police station revealed the full scope of Ryan's operation. Detective Rogers spread photos across the interview room table, surveillance shots of Ryan with different women, all following the same pattern. Your wife wasn't just another victim, Rogers explained. She and Mary were active participants. Look at these text messages. The evidence was damning. Amber and Mary had helped Ryan target other wealthy women at their country club, making introductions, vouching for his training methods. We're looking at conspiracy charges, Rogers continued. Your daughter's social media wasn't just documenting her mother's affair. She was advertising Ryan's services to potential victims. How many? Johnny asked. We've identified 12 women so far. 3 divorces for bankruptcies. Your wife and daughter appeared at multiple training sessions where Ryan recruited new clients. Amber's next attempt at manipulation came through her mother. The older woman cornered Johnny outside his office building. How dare you destroy my daughter like this, she hissed. After everything she gave up for you. Gave up? Johnny's laugh was harsh. You mean the 20 years she spent spending my money? The daughter she turned against me? The marriage she betrayed? She made one mistake. One mistake. He pulled out his phone, showing her Mary's archived Instagram stories. This looks like dozens of deliberate choices to me. Each post, each photo, each calculated attempt to humiliate me. They're living in my garage apartment. My daughter, a Martinez, in a garage apartment. How could you? How could I what? Hold them accountable? Let them face consequences? Tell me, how's Ryan's legal defense fund coming along? Her face reddened. That con man took advantage of. Save it. The evidence shows your daughter and granddaughter were willing participants. They helped him target other women, other families. The prosecutors have everything. The criminal proceedings moved swiftly. Ryan's plea deal opened floodgates of evidence, each revelation more damaging than the last. Johnny sat in the courtroom, watching his ex-wife and daughter squirm as their roles in the scheme became public record. The defendant, Ryan Matthews, worked in conjunction with Amber Martinez and Mary Martinez to target wealthy clients, the prosecutor declared. Evidence shows they helped orchestrate meetings, plan encounters, and document the affairs on social media as part of a broader fraud scheme. Mary burst into tears when her Instagram posts were displayed on the courtroom screen. Each damning caption read aloud. Another successful setup by Mom. Rich wives deserve better than boring husbands. DM for Ryan's training schedule. Watch Mom glow up with Ryan's special sessions. Your husband won't know what hit him. Sorry, not sorry, to all the basic husbands out there. Sometimes wives need an upgrade. Contact for details. Amber's face turned gray when Ryan's testimony began. Mrs. Martinez and her daughter were instrumental in my operation, he stated coldly, avoiding her desperate gaze. They helped me identify potential clients, made introductions at the country club, vouched for my methods. They received a percentage of the proceeds from each successful target. That's a lie. Amber stood up, her designer outfit now weeks out of date. You said you loved me, that I was special. The judge's gavel cracked. Mrs. Martinez, control yourself, or you'll be removed. After court, Hamilton pulled Johnny aside. The civil suits are starting. 3 husbands are naming your ex-wife and daughter as co-defendants. They want depositions. Good. The country club is also filing suit. Something about using their premises to facilitate fraud. They're canceling the Martinez family membership. Amber's next manipulation attempt came through their old neighbors. The Richardsons cornered Johnny at his office building. "Don't you think this has gone far enough?" Sarah Richardson pleaded. "Amber's a broken woman. Mary can't even attend classes without being harassed." "Funny," Johnny replied. "I don't remember you being concerned when they were broadcasting my humiliation. In fact, didn't you like and share Mary's posts?" Tom Richardson shifted uncomfortably. "We didn't know the full story." "No. The captions about helping wives cheat on their husbands weren't clear enough. The posts about charging unauthorized expenses weren't obvious enough. You've turned the whole community against them," Sarah protested. "No," Johnny's voice was steel. "They did that themselves. Every post, every photo, every calculated humiliation. Tell me, Sarah, did you enjoy watching my family destroy itself? Was it entertaining when Mary posted updates about her mother's affair?" Sarah flushed. "I never what? Never commented, 'You go, girl,' on photos of my wife with another man? Never shared Mary's posts about upgrading from boring husbands? The internet keeps receipts, Sarah. Would you like to see yours?" The Richardsons retreated, but they weren't the last. The social fallout continued to spread. Amber's attempt to maintain her lifestyle crumbled as each support system failed. Her regular salon posted a notice. "Due to recent events, we must decline service to certain individuals involved in ongoing legal matters." The country club sent a formal letter. "Your membership has been revoked due to conduct unbecoming." Her favorite boutiques blocked her numbers after multiple attempts to charge purchases to my husband's accounts. Mary's college life imploded completely. Her academic advisor's email was blunt. "Given the criminal investigations and your documented involvement in fraudulent activities, the university has no choice but to suspend your enrollment pending further review." Her former sorority sisters turned her into a social media cautionary tale. "Can't believe we let a fraud enabler represent our values. Lifetime ban effective immediately. Hashtag scammer exposed." Amber made one final attempt at manipulation, cornering Johnny outside Hamilton's office. "Look what you've done to us." Her voice cracked, designer makeup failing to hide her desperation. "We're living in Mom's garage apartment. Mary can't show her face in public. All my friends have abandoned me." "Friends?" Johnny's laugh was cold. "You mean the social climbers who encouraged your affair? Who liked and shared every post about betraying me? Those friends? We can fix this. Go to counseling, start over." "Fix what? The criminal charges? The civil suits? The documented fraud? Tell me, Amber, how do we fix Mary helping Ryan target other families? It wasn't supposed to be like this." Amber's mascara streaked down her face. "Ryan said it would be simple. Just a few dates, some charges. Then you'd quietly pay to avoid embarrassment, like his other victims did." Johnny's voice was ice. "The families you helped him destroy? The marriages you and Mary helped him target? I didn't know about the others. He said I was special. Special enough to help him recruit more victims? Special enough to let our daughter advertise his services on social media." The elevator opened, and Mary stumbled out, her designer clothes replaced by discount store wear. "Dad, the bank is garnishing my accounts. They say I have to repay the fraud victims." "Fraud victims?" Amber turned. "What fraud victims?" "The 3 other wives you helped Ryan target," Hamilton said, stepping out of his office. "Their husbands' lawyers are quite thorough. Every introduction you made, every training session you arranged, every social media post promoting his services, it's all documented." "But I didn't know." Mary's voice cracked. "Mom said it was just helping other wives find happiness." "Happiness?" Johnny's laugh was harsh. "Is that what you call destroying families for profit? Did you find happiness posting about each new victim, documenting each affair?" "The civil suits are just the beginning," Hamilton added. "The prosecutors want to discuss your role as conspirators. Apparently, Ryan's been very cooperative since taking his plea deal." "Cooperative?" Amber's face went white. "What did he say?" "Everything." Hamilton opened his tablet. "The country club meetings where you helped him identify targets. The social media strategy you and Mary developed to attract wealthy wives. The percentage you received from each successful mark. That money was for training fees. Mary protested. Training fees? Hamilton raised an eyebrow. Is that why you deposited it in offshore accounts? Why you use code words in your messages? The federal investigators found it all quite interesting. Federal investigators? Amber swayed on her feet. Wire fraud crosses state lines, Johnny explained coldly. Each credit card transaction, each bank transfer, each social media post promoting the scheme, they all leave digital footprints. But we can explain. Mary grabbed his arm. Daddy, please. You have to help us. Johnny removed her hand like it was contaminated. Help you? Like you helped destroy my life? Like you helped Ryan target other families? No, Mary. You and your mother made your choices. Now you live with them. 1 year later flashed across the local news screen as Johnny watched the follow-up story in his downtown penthouse. Social media affair scandal. Where are they now? The camera panned across familiar faces. Ryan in prison orange, speaking through jail glass. I accept responsibility for my actions. Mrs. Martinez and her daughter were willing participants in targeting wealthy families. Cut to Amber, looking years older, working as a retail clerk in a discount store. My life is destroyed. All my friends, my social status, everything gone. Mary, waiting tables at a diner, ducking away from cameras. Please, just leave me alone. I can't talk about it. Johnny muted the TV as Hamilton entered his office. Final paperwork came through, Hamilton said, placing a folder on the desk. All civil suits settled. Your ex-wife and daughter are responsible for partial restitution to Ryan's other victims. And the criminal cases? Ryan got 15 years. Amber and Mary got probation in exchange for testimony, plus financial penalties. Hamilton smiled coldly. They'll be paying off the judgments for decades. Johnny's phone lit up with a message from Mary. Dad, please. It's been a year. Mom's living in a studio apartment. I had to drop out of college. We've lost everything. Can't you forgive us? Another message from Amber followed. The court-ordered payments are crushing us. We can barely afford food. Please, Johnny. We've suffered enough. He deleted both messages without responding. They're still trying? Hamilton asked. Every week. Different tactics, same manipulation. Johnny turned to the window, looking out over the city. Amber's mother called yesterday, said they're being evicted from her garage apartment. Can't afford the rent. And Mary? Working double shifts at some diner. Her former sorority sisters posted photos mocking her uniform. He smiled grimly. Karma has a sense of humor. The final message came from Sandra Thompson, one of Ryan's previous victims. Thank you again for exposing them. My family is finally healing. Ryan, Amber, and Mary can never hurt another family like they hurt ours. Johnny stood in his new life, surrounded by the peace he'd found in solitude. The sun set over the city, painting the sky in shades of redemption. In his desk drawer, a small box held his old wedding ring, a reminder of lessons learned and battles won. They'd thought him weak, easily manipulated, too passive to fight back. They'd mistaken his patience for weakness, his provision for obligation. Now they understood sometimes the quietest men cast the longest shadows. Let them live with their consequences. Let them face each day knowing they'd destroyed themselves. His mercy had died with their betrayal, buried beneath an avalanche of their own choices. The city lights began to twinkle on, each one a star in his new universe. Behind him, the TV continued its silent narrative of destruction and consequence. But Johnny had stopped watching. His story wasn't about their fall anymore. It was about his rise from the ashes of betrayal, stronger and wiser. Never to forgive, never to forget, but finally completely free.